What's going on, guys? It's Seth Forge here, and today I am back with yet another college football prediction video. And this time, I'll be talking about the Penn State Nittany Lions going on the road to face off West Virginia in another rematch game or a mini series between the two. As you guys know from last season, Penn State played West Virginia at Penn State, and of course beat them pretty good. So this is like a rematch game for West Virginia, and so this will be played on August 31st of 2024. And so, as you guys know from previous prediction videos, I like to go through a slideshow. I talked about Florida versus Miami. I've also talked about Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, of course LSU, and also we have versus USC. So you guys can go check all those games out. So today I'll be talking about Penn State versus West Virginia. Like I said before, August 31st of 2024, the first game of the season. And let's go ahead and go through the slideshows, and let's begin. All right, so last season we have Penn State had a great season last year. I think their ceiling is like 10 wins or maybe 11 as well. They went 10-3, 7-2 in the Big Ten East, and of course they lost to, as sometimes per usual, Michigan and Ohio State. Sometimes they can beat Ohio State, but they lose to Michigan. So always close games between them two. But they lost also to the they lost to Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl 38-25. So their record still, in my opinion, was really solid. And 10-3 and 7-2 was pretty freaking good. All right, so we have West Virginia, who a lot of people didn't think that they were going to be all that great last year, unless you're West Virginia fans, or I'm just out of the loop as well. They went from a 5-7 season to a 9-4, 6-3 in Big 12, and won the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And of course, my team UNC got smacked 30-10. So they had a great season last year, coming from a 5-7 to a 9-4. So definitely some big changes from West Virginia, and also hopefully a great future for the program. Last meeting, we had the Penn State Nittany Lions at home at Beaver Stadium, which versus West Virginia, which the game was kind of close in the beginning, I think. I can't remember all the details, but then Penn State pretty much smacked them throughout the game with 38-15. So that was not a fun game to watch throughout the rest of the game. And so yeah, that was played on September 2nd of 2013 at Beaver Stadium. It was a night game, so I think it was one of the first games, something like that too. So yeah, it was not a fun game to watch of the rest of the way. Okay, so the location for this upcoming game we have, it's at Milan, or if you're a soccer fan, it's like Milan or something like that. Pusker Stadium in Morgantown. It's a great atmosphere, great college stadium. Of course, West Virginia always shows out with their fan base as well. So I think this is going to be a really good game, in my opinion. So it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I hope it's going to be, I think it's a night game. I don't know if it's 3:30 or night game, so who knows. But that's going to be a solid atmosphere. All right, so the coaches, we got James Franklin, who's done an excellent job at Penn State with 10 seasons, though a lot of fans may question that he may be overrated, but in my opinion, he's not overrated. He's 88-39 and 56-32. The Big Ten is tough. You got Ohio State and Michigan every single year as well, but a lot of fans say that he's overrated because he hasn't won a national championship with Penn State, but I don't think he is overrated. I think he's done a great job with Penn State, and it's still crazy to me that he got Vanderbilt to 2 9-4 win seasons, that was wild in my opinion. So James Franklin in 10 seasons, 88-39, 56-32 in the Big Ten for conference play. All right, so we have Neil Brown through 5 seasons, kind of struggled so far, but last year had a solid season, going 9-4, especially from the previous season, which was 5-7. A lot of fans were saying that he could be on the hot seat, but sometimes you got to build teams to be good, especially in the Big 12. So he's done so far last season a great job, 9-4, and he's 31-29 overall and 20-24. As you guys can see, he's trying to rebuild West Virginia to being West Virginia like they were a few years ago. So the transfer portal news. I try to get the best information I can. I know a lot of fans from previous videos commented that they didn't have their players, the top transfer players coming in. So this is just based off of On3 transfer portal, from transferring players transferring out or in. So I try to base this off the 2 best players from the ratings, in my opinion, from On3 website. So this is on On3 website. You guys can check it out yourselves. All right, so we have 16 players transferring out, 6 players transferring in, notable players leaving. We have 4-star safety King Mack to Alabama, and of course we have 4-star wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith to Auburn, and notable players transferring in. We got 5-star wide receiver Julian Fleming from Ohio State, and 5-star offensive tackle Nolan Rusi from Wisconsin. For West Virginia, we have 21 players transferring out, 12 players transferring in, notable players transferring out. We got 4-star linebacker Lance Dixon to Toledo. We got 4-star DB Andrew Wilson Lamp to East Carolina. And of course, notable players transferring in. We got 4-star linebacker Reed Caricio. If I pronounced that last name wrong, I'm sorry. From Ohio State. We got 4-star wide receiver Justin Robinson from Mississippi State. So not too bad for guys coming in. All right, so the returning starters for Penn State and West Virginia, I try to base this off of OurLads.com, as you guys can see from the pictures. And of course, the 11 players returning, 5 on offense and 6 on defense. That was from Athlon Sports that based it off of this upcoming season. So as you guys can see from the picture below, I don't want to read all the players off, but if you want to pause the video, you guys can look it up yourself. And of course, you see the yellowish orange, or the kind of light orange words. Those are transfers like Julian Fleming and of course Nolan Rusi. They got 2 players on offense, and of course they got 1 player transferred in, AJ Harris on defense, which is the DB. So those guys are the transfers that are coming in, and of course 5 players on offense returning and 6 players on defense returning. And also sometimes it could be like guys that haven't started that are projected to be starting for this upcoming season. And then we got West Virginia. We have 13 players returning, 7 on offense and 6 on defense. And of course, they have a few transfer players from the previous year. We got Jaquay Hubbard, who's a senior transfer but played last year for West Virginia. We got Jaden Bray, who transferred this year, who's from Oklahoma State. And of course, we got Garnett Hollis Jr., who's a transfer. We got Jaheim Joseph, a transfer, and Dantes Fagan, who is a transfer as well. So you got 3 transfers on defense. Actually, you got 2 transfers from defense previous years. Tyron Bradley, of course, Faye Torma, Moba, and so they got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anthony Wilson too. So they got pretty much like 4 or 5 guys on defense and 1 or 2 player. No, 1, 2, 3 players on that transferred on offense. So I think they'll have a solid offense and defense for West Virginia for this upcoming season. Okay, so the top 3 offensive players for Penn State and, of course, West Virginia. And I also like to do the top 3 defensive players as well based off of last year's season. We got quarterback Drew Aller, who's an upcoming junior. He had 233 completions to 389 attempts, 59.9 completion percentage, 2,631 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So not a bad season. I think that Penn State likes to run the ball a lot. That they're more a ground pound type of team. But Drew Aller, I think, will have a great season this year for becoming a junior this season. We got running back Nicholas Singleton, who his freshman season he had like 1,000 yards and only 1 touchdown. And it's kind of weird that like he kind of regressed and had 2 touchdowns, but had 752 rushing yards, averaged about 4.84 yards per carry, and had like 171 carries. So he still is the number 1 key guy for the running back position. So they have a solid quarterback, running back, and of course now having some upgrades on the wide receiver position. Julian Fleming, who is a senior transfer, 26 receptions, 270 receiving yards, average about 10.4 yards per catch, and 0 touchdowns. Though I think he'll have more touchdowns with Drew Aller, as maybe could be the wide receiver 1. Who knows? And if I left out somebody that's a wide receiver that's good, better than Julian Fleming, please comment down below if you are a West Virginia or Penn State fan. My bad. So top 3 offensive players for West Virginia. We have quarterback Garrett Green, who's an upcoming senior. He did a really good job last year, finishing out the season with 147 completions to 278 attempts with 52.9 completion percentage. Not too great, but average play for, I guess you can say, or average, not average, but kind of below average percentage. 2,406 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I think maybe he came on a little bit later, but I don't know. I didn't really watch West Virginia all that much last season. But we have running back Jaheim White, who's an upcoming sophomore. He had a solid freshman season with 109 carries, 842 rushing yards, averaged about 7.7 2.7 per carry, and of course 4 touchdowns from last season. So pretty solid from him as a freshman running back for West Virginia. Okay, so I think that Jaden Bray will be the wide receiver 1 for Oklahoma State, but I think that Hudson Clement could also be wide receiver 1. He's a redshirt sophomore. He had 22 receptions, 480 receiving yards, 21.8 yards average per catch, and of course 4 touchdowns last year. So who knows who will be the wide receiver 1. So if you're a West Virginia fan, comment down below who you think is going to win or that position. We got the top 3 defensive players. We got defensive lineman for Penn State. We got Donnie Dennis Sutton, who's a defensive edge, who's an upcoming junior. 26 total tackles, 17 solo, 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass deflection. So really solid stat line for him. Kobe King, who's an upcoming junior, 59 total tackles, 39 solo, 1.5 yard sack, or 1.5 sacks. I don't know why they do that 1.5. I guess the half sack is like an assist. So we got 1 fumble recovery. We got defensive back Kevin Winston Jr., who's an upcoming junior, 60 total tackles, 35 solo, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 5 pass deflections. So solid defense of core guys coming back for Penn State. And of course, we have West Virginia, the top 3 defensive players from the stats. We got Sean Martin, who's a senior defensive lineman, 27 total tackles, 15 solo, and 1 sack. Ben Cutter, who's an upcoming sophomore, had a great freshman season, 56 total tackles, 28 solo, 2 sacks, and 1 pass deflection. And super senior Anthony Wilson, defensive back, 80 total tackles, 54 solo, 1 interception, and 4 pass deflections. A solid year for him. It's already crazy that next year it's going to be 2025, and he's already almost done with this college career, and it's been 2020. 2020 was 4 years ago, which is insane to even think about. Okay, so lastly, we have the full team stats on offense from Penn State and West Virginia, and of course, full team stats from defense. And then lastly, I will predict who is going to win this game. And so let's go ahead and go through the stats. I also try to base off this game from last year's stats. I know it's last year's stats, and this year is a different game, but this is the first game of the season, so I don't have all the full stats or week-to-week games. So we got yards per game. Penn State had a solid season with 402 yards total. Passing, though, it was kind of uppy and down with 250.0. I think they like to run the ball a lot, which averaged about 185.2 yards per rushing. And we got points per game, really solid, 36.2. So their offense was pretty good last year. Now, I didn't watch a whole lot of Penn State stuff, too, so I'm just basing it off the stats. And if you think that Penn State kind of struggled last year, comment down below as well. Okay, so West Virginia, as you guys know, that the Big 12, they love to pass the ball. They love to have high-scoring games. That's just the DNA of the Big 12, as you guys know. Just like the Pac-12 kind of as well, they like to have high-scoring games, in my opinion. That's just me from watching a lot of Big 12 games. All right, so they averaged about 434.6 yards total, passing yards 205.7, rushing yards per game 228.9, which that is actually really good. Points per game average about 31.5, like I said before. They like to score a lot of points in the Big 12. We got the full team stats for defense. We got Penn State only allowing 223.3 yards total, so really solid from them. Only allowing 153.6 passing yards per game, really good. And of course, only allowing rushing yards per game, 69.7, also really solid and impressive. And only allowing 11 points per game each game, which was really good because their defense is just solid. I mean, their defense has always been their bread and butter for Penn State. And lastly, we got the full team stats for defense with West Virginia. Like I said before, the Big 12, they love passing the ball and just high-scoring games. So they averaged about 384.3 yards allowed per game. Not so great. Passing, 239.9. Also, not so great. Rushing, not too bad in my opinion, which is only allowing 144.3, and of course 27.5 points allowed per game, which not the greatest you want to see, especially against teams. But I think that West Virginia was going 9-4, still pretty good season from my point of view. And now for the last slides of the video, my final prediction. In all reality, I think that Penn State will most likely could possibly win this game. It's at West Virginia, though, so it's going to be a fight. I think that overall, Penn State is better than West Virginia from the offensive side and, of course, from the defensive side. But I'm going to switch it up this year, and I'm going to go with West Virginia. Country roads take me home. Mountain Mama, West Virginia. Yeah. I'm gonna go West Virginia +6 of the underdog. I think that they'll beat Penn State, especially at home. It's gonna be a crazy game, crazy atmosphere. But though this is just a way too early prediction video, I still think that West Virginia or Penn State is a better overall team on offense and defense. So this prediction will probably be wrong. I think that Penn State is better in general with stats and, of course, with the team. But I think that I'm going to go with West Virginia because it's at home and they want revenge on Penn State after a whopping 38-15 smackdown from last season. So I'm going to give them a +6 underdog against Penn State. I know a lot of fans will probably be mad, but I think that in reality, Penn State is a better team. But I'm going to go with West Virginia in this prediction. All right, guys. Seth Ward here. Y'all have a great day. See y'all next time. Next video probably on Sunday as well. And yeah, y'all have a great rest of the day. And hope y'all had a great 4th of July weekend as well. All right, guys. Seth Ward here. Peace out.